Taft Stadium has not been the friendliest place for visiting teams, but in comes San Antonio. They haven't lost a match all season, and they've won 5 in a row on the road. But the Energy has won 4 straight in Taft. So a big matchup tonight in the USL, the Energy versus San Antonio FC. Another beautiful night for the beautiful game in Oklahoma City at Taft Stadium. San Antonio FC comes to town to take on OKC's Energy, coming off of a high of a big win on Tuesday against Phoenix Rising, but it came at a price. Welcome, everybody. Along with George Metellus, I'm Dave Lamont. And, George, that price came in the form of a nasty fall taken by a player who's having his best night of the season.
Yeah, unfortunately, Wojciech Vujic is out indefinitely after injuring his elbow in that game in which he had 2 goals. Basically won the game for Oklahoma City against Phoenix. It's unfortunate for him, but Andy Craven is in the lineup. We'll see what he can do.
Now, goals have not been uncommon for this guy here, Billy Forbes, 9 points on the season.
Yeah, the native of Turks and Caicos Islands, has been excellent down the left side of the attack. He will certainly be someone that Oklahoma City's defense has to focus on and contain in order to win this game.
Now, a change at goal tonight for the Energy. With Cody Lorendi called up to the Puerto Rican national team, he'll miss this match and the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday versus Colorado. So our first look at C.J. Cochran in a USL match this season.
Yeah, we mentioned Billy Forbes and how he will test the defense. We will see how C.J. Cochran commands the defense, commands the penalty box, imposes his will as the goalkeeper, and how he leads the defense in this game.
So we take a look at the 11s, first off for San Antonio, and Ajekwa at the top, a very dangerous player. We see Forbes and Castillo and Tierpak, then Ujong and Pekka, the other way, very good player too, a Brazilian Pekka. Noonan at the left back tonight with Greg Cochran sent off last game. He is suspended for 1 game. That allows Sean Chin to make his second start of the season at right back, and Diego Restrepo has not given up a goal in his last 6 games. So can this formation, George, solve this with Andy Craven stepping up tonight up top with Miguel Gonzalez?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the midfield, especially Rasmussen and Guzman, appear to be the 2 center mids that Jimmy Nielsen prefers, but also look out for Barril and Gonzalez in attack. In the last game against Phoenix, they had plenty of space. They had a good understanding of where each other was on the pitch and look very dangerous going forward. That partnership will be key.
Guzman will take the captain's armband tonight for OKC with Lorendi with his national team in Puerto Rico. They're in Indonesia. We're at Taft, getting ready for an important matchup in the USL tonight with San Antonio looking for a 6th straight road win.
Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, getting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
Your banking needs are personal, none more so than your personal checking. FFB has a checking solution for you. Like FFB's Debit Card Rewards, which earns you points with every debit card purchase. Points for travel, hotels, restaurants, or merchandise from your favorite stores. And as always, you'll enjoy FFB checking perks like mobile deposit, online bill pay, and free ATMs worldwide. That's a lot of punch packed into a little plastic. Visit ffb.com/rewards for more today.
What if you could keep an eye on your business every hour of every day and know where your customers are at any moment? See what your employees are doing or tell if your windows and doors are secure. And what if you could do all that from anywhere? Introducing Cox Business Security. With HD surveillance and 24/7 monitoring, our security never sleeps, so you can. Cox Business Security Solutions. Security that means business.
Time. Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, getting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
Hey Energy fans, I'm Brent Skarkey, your guys in green coming off a win, staying at home for a huge match. As the Energy gears up for maybe its toughest test of the season against San Antonio, they have to feel good about their form going into Saturday's game. OKC winners of 5 of their last 6, including a 3-2 win Tuesday night at home against Phoenix. But as they move forward, the biggest hurdle of the season in their path. San Antonio FC, undefeated on the year, 9-0-3 on the season, tops in the USL West, strong on both ends of the pitch, tops with Salt Lake, with a plus 17 goal differential. If you're expecting to see a battle of the beards in goal for this one, well, think again. First off, Matt Cardone hadn't been playing the majority of minutes for San Antonio. But secondly, Cody Lorendi not on the roster for this game, or for the Cup game next Tuesday. Cody, called upon by the Puerto Rican national team to play in an international exhibition against Indonesia on June 13th in the Far East. That means Carl Cochran Jr. will play against San Antonio and against the Colorado Rapids. Coach has full faith in CJ. So no Cody, but also no Woj for San Antonio. The striker with 2 goals against Phoenix Tuesday, but also fractured a bone in his elbow in that game. He'll undergo surgery, likely out 6 to 8 weeks. Can the Energy make it 2 in a row at Taft Stadium and knock off one of the best teams in the USL? We'll find out. Kickoff right around the corner. I'm Brent Skarkey for Energy FC TV.
All right, Brent, thank you as always. We very much appreciate that. Looks like once again we're in for some excellent weather in downtown Oklahoma City. And we get prepared for a match that is winnable for OKC if they can find a way to crack a defense that has given up just 4 goals all season long. 6 straight clean sheets for Diego Restrepo, who wasn't even the starting goalie at the beginning of the year, but injury gave him the chance to play. He's given up just 2. And OKC at times has been offensively challenged with just 10 goals on the year.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be something that will certainly concern Oklahoma City. But remember, they got 3 last week against Phoenix. Maybe they're feeling confident. Andy Craven is finally available, so Miguel Gonzalez has been playing well. He's very influential in attack, so we'll see how they attack this San Antonio defense. But also a little quick stat here about the defense, the attack of San Antonio. They've only scored 3 goals in their last 5 games, so their attack is struggling as well. So that could work in Oklahoma City's favor as well. It is going to be very interesting tactically between these 2 teams.
So you take a good long look at CJ Cochran. He has 1 U.S. Open Cup start. That was a week ago. Now, by the way, this is a hectic time period for the Energy with this match tonight, a Wednesday matchup versus the Colorado Rapids in the U.S. Open Cup, and then boom, a Friday night league game in Portland. So a lot of challenges for Jimmy Nielsen and with Vucic out now indefinitely with that elbow injury. That's a body he really could have counted on up front. So the Energy in the white and green to see our officials, Greg Dobka, Michael Kapp, Truman Berghall, and Seth Barton gets to play with the board as the 4th official.
Andy Craven, his style of playing striker or playing forward is a little bit different than Vucic. He's a little quicker, a little more agile around the penalty area. He's going to drop back further into midfield, try to help out, be a creator. Vucic, big target in the area, so we'll see how Oklahoma City adjusts.
Highland with a long throw in. It is a very breezy evening. You can see the shirts are flying a little bit on the players. The hair is being blown back, and it could be a factor for this evening, particularly on goal kicks. And of course, the other thing, the shadows. We see about 50% daylight, 50% shadows. And as the match goes on, that will be a challenge for these athletes.
Looking forward to seeing here Barril and Miguel Gonzalez, how they managed to work with Andy Craven in the attack. In the game against Phoenix, we did that game, and Barril and Miguel Gonzalez freely exchanged positions. They were moving pretty fluidly through the midfield, and whenever they had a chance to counterattack, they always seemed to make the right pass. Let's see if they give those spaces. San Antonio gives them those spaces.
We have talked about seemingly every game how snakebit Miguel Gonzalez has been with all his crossbars and posts and great saves made by goalkeepers. So one of these days he will have a big night, and maybe even more than 1 goal, as Vucic did the other night. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL, and we invite you to visit NikeSoccer.com for more. Yeah, San Antonio is out of the U.S. Open Cup. They were taken out by the Tulsa Roughnecks, who, by the way, will be OKC's next home opponent next month. And went all the way to PKs. It was a 0-0 draw. And finally, 7 PKs to 6, Tulsa advanced in the U.S. Open Cup. See a little give and go that time, trying to work it carefully to Ojong, but that didn't happen.
Tulsa Roughnecks, the rivals in the USL of OKC, the black and gold derby as they call it, as they fight for that big wrench. OKC has the wrench right now, but Tulsa is much improved this season, so that should be a fun game. Time to battle for Oklahoma soccer supremacy.
Yeah, you see the weather conditions. You talked about the winds coming out of the south on a very warm evening in downtown Oklahoma City, and we've talked about the Turnpike matchup with Tulsa is Saturday, July 11th at 7:30. Tickets are available if you call 235-KICK or visit energy.com/tickets. And by the way, tonight's match, fidget spinners, the first 2,000 youngsters, sponsored by Energy FC founding partner First Fidelity Bank. We thank them for that. Early going in this one, nobody has had any great thrusts toward goal yet. San Antonio, 9 wins and 3 draws. No defeats. There's going to be a whistle and a foul there. Going to go against OKC on Guzman, who's the captain tonight with Lorendi not available. Congratulations to him, by the way, for getting called up to his Puerto Rican national team there in Indonesia. Lorendi will miss this match and the U.S. Open Cup match against the Rapids.
Yeah, anytime you can get a player in this league called up by a national team, that just raises the profile of the league. So congratulations to Cody Lorendi, and Puerto Rican football on the rise.
Oh, good look, give and go here. Craven, and the flag is up, however, so the pass off to Gonzalez just a little too much, and Craven got through, but the referee's assistant calls it off.
Yeah, what we're seeing from Energy FC here, it looks like a 4-2-2. They started out a 4-2-2, but with Miguel Gonzalez and his ability to play make and create goal-scoring chances, either for Dixon or Barril, or in this case Craven, they hope, he's kind of dropped in behind Craven, so it's morphed into a 4-2-3-1. Craven, with his pace and his ability to move a little bit faster than Wojcik, for example, that gives him a lot more room to operate.
Trying to go the long ball to Jaquan, and Cochran got there in time. Mickey Daly is back on the back line tonight after resting on Tuesday night. Important and very steady player for this team. A little bumping there, but no need for a call. Well, maybe Jaquan is going to get called. Yeah, he came up looking at the official like you got to be nuts, but it will go in favor of the Energy. And you take a good look there at the captain tonight, Juan Pablo Guzman.
Yeah, that's what you need your center mids to do. Win that ball in the midfield, hold on to possession, try to push the ball forwards, and then also create fouls and create a little bit of tempo and rhythm in your favor. So, you know, it's a subtle foul. There's a foul by Jacob, but still Guzman doing the right thing, imposing his will, trying to impose his influence on the game.
Did Barril do what I just think he did and actually heeled that almost over his own shoulder and went out of bounds? That was amazing. I could have sworn he did that. Casual little flick with the heel, but it wasn't, the ball wasn't on the ground, it was in the air.
Well, he is a Real Madrid Castilla youth product, so I'm sure they taught him that stuff.
So, yeah, that was pretty crazy. Take a look at Craven getting a USL start tonight, his first one since being acquired by from FC Cincinnati for Danny Koenig, who's playing very well, by the way, in Ohio. And Craven having a chance now to hold up his end of the deal. He was serving a suspension when he was traded for. That's over, and he's been playing now, available. This will be his second USL appearance this season. There's Forbes. Must be watched at all times. That makes opportunities for others. Look out, and that's an easy play there for the goalkeeper, Cochran. Fans, you can stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league by tuning in to USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC Channel 85. And don't forget, Sirius XM FC will air the USL game of the week. Just check out USLsoccer.com for dates and times. Craven, they say offsides. He says he's not and fires off a left-footed shot that's wide of the goal.
And Craven, with his pace, He's someone that the San Antonio defense has to be very wary of. They're going to have to try and get Ibeaga or McCarthy, one of those two, on him very quickly, get a body on him, get physical with him so that he can't use his pace to get behind the San Antonio defense.
And we have a player down, you can see, and can't get a clear look at who that is.
I think it's Dixon.
OKC Energy. Back in the lineup is Alex Dixon. You know, we did not see what caused him to be injured. He was away from where Craven had the ball. And I don't know if the referee is going to be handing out any discipline either for this, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I think it looked like Dixon, when he tried to make a play on the ball, might have crashed into Ojong. We have to take a look at the replay. Hopefully he's okay. I think more than anything, it just looks like he got shaken up a little bit. There's no injuries to his extremity, so
we see Stephen McCarthy,
concussion, which could be a problem. Yeah, so.
McCarthy with that little helmet there, and is also 6'5", so he'll be easy to spot all night long. And the referee had waved him over, but just based on the geniality of that conversation, doubtful any discipline was handed out. So Dixon will get up. We don't know the nature of what's ailing him at the moment. You see now he's got his hands on his back, and they're going to have to walk him off of here. And I don't know if he's going to be able to continue. That's hard. It's a hard read right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Jimmy Nielsen already down an important player. Vucic out indefinitely. There he's talking to the fourth official. And they don't seem to be too angry with each other either. So maybe this will just be an instance where Dixon will be okay and will have to be waved on by the referee.
Hugh Dixon, Hugh Alexander Dixon is his formal name. Alex Dixon has tied for the team lead in goals this season with Wojcik and Highland. So they need him out wide, especially with his pace and his dribbling ability. They need him. So hopefully he gets back into the game quickly.
And I would say, they are giving him a concussion test. Take a good look at what's required by the players to make sure that they can keep up with everything and answer a couple of questions. So at the moment, OKC is down a man. Highland will do the smart thing and just give up the ball for some space. But that wasn't enough. Andy Craven got in the way of that and forces a throw in here for undefeated San Antonio FC. 9 wins and just 3 draws. That's it. And if they win this game tonight, that will be a 6th straight road win. And you see Dixon is back in, so everybody at even strength.
Good to see that Dixon is back. I think there was just a collision with him and McCarthy.
And you talk about the concussion protocol. We mentioned this. It's like once a game, we see something pulled off of that. McCarthy wearing that helmet. It's modified, obviously, designed more for soccer than it would be for other sports. And so he's had an issue there. I've seen a couple of players around the league with those on.
That's one thing you definitely don't want to play around with, the concussion. Those are injuries that are long lasting. I know some of the other ones, the knees, the shoulders, things, but when it comes to your brain, it's something you can't operate on your brain every 2 weeks like you can your knees.
No,
so obviously you have to take care of your head, your brain.
You can get a knee replacement.
Exactly.
The other one you can't get replaced.
Exactly.
You get one. So back to Diego Restrepo being forechecked by Craven. As we told you earlier, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL, and for more information you can visit NikeSoccer.com. Out wide now to Stephen McCarthy, who has 4 yellows on the season, by the way, a 5th one, and he'll get to sit out a game. So he'll have to be careful. This is Chin. And ahead to Tierpak, and it's just too much for him, so it'll be a goal kick for C.J. Cochran. Getting the start tonight. Played well in the the U.S. Open Cup 10 days ago. And apparently a thick beard is required to play goal for the Oklahoma City Energy. The publicity shot we have of Cochran, that's the short version of that beard. If you see the publicity shot, that thing is as big as Cody Larendi's, if not larger. Meantime, breaking out, that's going to be a little bit too much, or is it for Forbes? Cochran comes off, heads it himself, and gets rid of it Athletic play by Cochran in a foot race with a dangerous goal scorer, and he's able to get rid of it.
That is a confident goalkeeper right there. And C.J. Cochran comes off, way off of his line. Knows that he cannot touch the ball with his head or with his hands, I should say. He's just dangerously close, so plays it safe. Great athleticism there and a confidence. That's what you want to see from your goalkeeper who hasn't played in a while, who's not the regular starter. Confidence. And that's what Cochran showed there.
And good credit to Forbes for staying out of a collision with a goalie, which could have led to a card because they were out in the open space. And Forbes just ran away and did not undercut Cochran. Smart play there by Forbes. So I'm going to check the possession stats here in a couple of minutes. I think it's got to be close to 50-50.
Sounds about right, yeah.
I will look at that in a moment. Badil now through to Gonzalez. Gonzalez wide to Highland. He had a great goal on Tuesday. A blistering left-footed volley in the box. Part of that win over Phoenix Rising, 3-2. A little too casual that time by Guzman, and it almost cost him. Highland with a cross. Too much for Craven, and that will sail away to a goal kick. I'll take that opportunity to look at possession here now, George. And you know what? San Antonio's got a bigger edge than I thought, 56.5 to 43.5. So, caught me by surprise.
For sure.
The Energy FC Gold Card is a benefit for season seat members, earning them discounts at several metro area locations like Dunkin' Donuts, High Fly Indoor Skydiving, and La Ovaqueña Bakery. To learn more, visit energyfc.com/gold.
I was, like you, Dave, I was very surprised that they've had so much more possession in this game. The issue for them has been just sloppy passing in the midfield. Most of it has been just kind of back passes between the goalkeeper, Restrepo and Ibiaga or McCarthy. So they're doing well. Oklahoma City's doing well, just kind of making sure San Antonio doesn't get behind them. And that's, possession is often a very misleading stat because it doesn't necessarily show how well the team is doing going forward. So
yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that just for fun. Sometimes even shots don't matter. It's the shots on target that often make the most difference. Just to show who's getting genuine pressure on the keepers. And at the moment, it's been quiet for the two goalkeepers, save for Cochran's fine play against Forbes when he had to go outside the box and could not use his hands. That's a 50-50 ball, and it's going to be won by McCarthy with those long legs. He got there first. Now Forbes being very patient. And he'll just send it back, and they'll start all over again.
Oklahoma City not putting too much pressure in terms of pressing. Just kind of making sure no one gets in behind them. Keeping players in front of them and forcing the ball backwards, and quick turnover there. So just the patient defending of Oklahoma City allows them to regain possession. San Antonio just have not been able to work that ball through the midfield very well.
Harris didn't put a lot on that throw, or I should say not enough on that throw. He ended up throwing it to San Antonio, and San Antonio will get it again on the throw in there. I thought Harris might launch. He wanted to throw it quickly, though, and it seemed like he couldn't find anybody open. And this will go all the way through. The former Fort Lauderdale striker, Diego Restrepo, who did not finish the season with that team. He was released kind of by mutual decision about 2/3 of the way through the NASL campaign for the Strikers, who are off this year, for lack of a better term, from NASL play. Club at the moment doesn't quite exist. You see a push there and a foul on Gonzalez. The USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting uslsoccer.com. And of course, do what we do, follow them on Twitter at USL.
Look how much San Antonio is playing in their own defensive half.
Yeah, that's where possession could be an inflated stat right there. Yeah, if you're just passing it to yourself in your own end, big deal. Little foul there, and Guzman may have taken the worst of it physically. as the referee will decide whether the trainer needs to come out or not. We'll see. Guzman is the one that got hit with the foul, but he may have been the one. Let's take a look, see what happened to him.
Yeah, it might have been a wild elbow there by Tierpak. That's why it went down there.
Again, the referee, Greg Dopka.
Yep, you see Guzman, complaining about the elbow there.
Well, a good official, he may have been reading about what constitutes good and bad officiating after watching last night's NBA game.
Oh, boy.
But, you know, a good official will admit, yeah, I might have missed that, or he'll listen.
Right.
Are you listening, Mark Davis? He will actually listen. And then, you know, still maintain control, but it's okay to admit a mistake or to listen to guys who are not, you know, just jaw-jacking or insulting you. There's a big difference there. OKC put the ball in play very quickly after they get a whistle there. Maybe too quickly. Back it goes to start over.
Just real quickly on that NBA Finals, that's a lesson on how not to officiate any professional sporting event.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That goes for everything. And we're all the way down to
exactly
single-A baseball, short season Arizona Fall League.
Oh.
The Kalamazoo Growlers would get better umpiring than that.
Ooh.
Through to Craven. Here's a chance. Craven fires, and a save by Restrepo as Craven tattooed that ball. But Restrepo was equal to the task.
Oh, it's fabulous ball movement down that right side by Oklahoma City. Running into space is Craven. San Antonio's defense and midfield not pressing too hard. Daniel Gonzalez with the assist, or I should say Miguel Gonzalez with the assist, but there was clever passing through the midfield, well, I should say during the right side of that midfield, and Craven running into space, timing in his run.
A lot of action in the box. Header there and booted away. Highland will chase it down. A couple of chances there, but nobody had a real threat to Restrepo in the air. Craven tries, and he kind of got hung up a little bit with McCarthy. And actually, it was a good thing for Craven because that was a gentle fall for him, although he might not agree with me on that.
Yeah.
But still, compared to what we've seen before, so it'll be a goal kick coming up for Restrepo, who made a terrific save on a point-blank blast by Craven.
That's where they missed Vujicic because of his size, his ability in the air. That would have been a very good matchup, McCarthy and Vujicic. But unfortunately, he's out injured, so they have Craven there. But Craven has that mobility, has that pace. He can anticipate a little bit better where the ball is going to be in space, and we saw that with that opportunity on goal.
Well, you also saw Restrepo snap hook his goal kick. Just a terrible from Diego Restrepo. Now Harris will go not acrobatic, but deep into the box, up for grabs. Chance for Gonzalez, and it was blocked. And Daly will bunt it back to Harris, who will try again. Cross again toward the middle as it's headed away by Ibiaga. Now San Antonio trying to counterpunch. They'll go down the right-hand side with Tierpak. Tierpak also helmeted. He has Chin running with him to his right. And that's going to be interrupted very calmly there by Rasmussen.
And the space opened up for Tierpak. And instead of just running into the space, he tried to lob it over the top. I think it would have been better for Tierpak if he had just kind of the seas parted for him, for lack of a better term, just run into that space.
That foul against the Energy. This sets up San Antonio in a pretty decent position here to do some damage. Take a good look at Mickey Daly. So Rafa Castillo will attempt this, or will he? Will he pass it on to Ben Noonan? You see Noonan with a little signal tap at the top of his right leg there. That might indicate he'll take it. He does. And right at an easy catch there for C.J. Cochran. The Energy FC Gold Card is a benefit for season seat members, earning them discounts at several metro area locations like Dental Works, Central State Beauty and Wellness College, iCakes Gourmet Cakes and Desserts, and Supermercado Morelos. To learn more, visit energyfc.com/gold. 22nd minute, we are 0-0 between these two sides. San Antonio 9-0-3. The Energy, all four of their wins have come at Taft as Craven tries to break free. Then he takes a hard fall and is still down.
He's favoring his arm.
Left, yeah. Have we seen this movie before?
Yeah.
It's his left side or arm, and you'll see, you know, we said the last fall wasn't so bad. This one's not very good, and he's vulnerable there too, man. The headband comes flying off right on that left arm. Watch again at full speed, and trying to move that arm just a little bit. That was and he was unprotected too when he hit.
Yeah. He jumped up, tried to head the ball onto frame, and he just got into it with Idiaga, and no foul there, just two players going for the ball, physical contact, nothing dirty there. And he's moving his arms, so it appears to be okay, so that's a good sign.
Well, the shock of that fall had to get him right there, to say the least.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he is a little more mobile with that arm.
Seen a couple times Craven. You can see Craven is giving maximum effort. He really is working hard. We've seen him a couple times go in the air, try to get a ball with his head. So he's giving maximum effort. He wants to do everything he can to score. He just got to be a little bit, just time it better. Just be a little bit smarter with when he decides to leave his feet and attack the ball in the air.
Well, he's going to take a little walk off the pitch as well to be examined by the trainer. So for the second time today, the Greens are going to be shorthanded for an injury time. When Dixon did it earlier, and now it will be Craven who's waiting for permission to re-enter the match, and he's also cut. You saw that left leg, and now they're going to have to fix that. And so obviously the Greens will play a little conservatively here.
Yeah, this is a situation where Oklahoma City want to build the ball from the attack. Play 12, 14 passes through the midfield, try to get everybody a touch, and then try to find where San Antonio's defense is giving up space or its weakest, and then exploit it there. But you have to do that through patient movement of the ball through the midfield.
So Craven returns. They've covered up that cut on his left leg. And now the pressure coming from Tierpak and San Antonio in the black uniforms. Chin off to Tierpak. Leaves it for Chin. You can see that San Antonio building patiently. That's Pekka, a Brazilian player, played in the NASL last year in Oklahoma City, oddly enough, for Rayo. Castillo. Physical defense played here by the Energy. And a good little touch by Guzman there to Rasmussen, all the way back to the back, and they'll start over. Wallace.
Guzman is trying to be that player that is that outlet for that center back pairing of Wallace and Daly, trying to be that connector to the attack through the midfield. Rasmussen dropping back a little bit as well. Rasmussen will be the one that's a little more effective going forward, and then Guzman would be that deep lying center mid that kind of directs traffic from the back.
26 minutes, Highland trying to put some pressure on, but he was double teamed off the ball. Guzman, short pass here, trying to work it into Dixon, who's making a nice little run. It was just a little much.
Yeah, well-timed run by Dixon, but the pass just a little too heavy. But we see him pinching in from the right side, trying to make something happen, but he was being double marked. It would have been tough for him to receive that pass and then turn on goal.
So Castillo again. He, by the way, not a bad goal scorer himself with 3, and they are missing Elizondo, who is injured. And Elizondo has 4 goals for San Antonio, but he is out of the match. They use the hockey terms in San Antonio, a lower or upper body injury. His is a lower body injury.
Deception a la Bill Belichick.
It's a big thing in hockey. That's all they say in hockey now is
really?
upper body or lower body. And I wouldn't even, so it's frustrated some media members, but that's just the policy seems to be working in the NHL. At least the teams are doing it. Now Baril, that's a good ball there. And Gonzalez just could not quite hang on to it as Abiyaga got in the way, and it's back to Restrepo.
And Baril and Miguel Gonzalez, if those two can just connect a little bit better, they're finding a lot harder this time compared to Phoenix, because San Antonio's clogging up that midfield, not allowing them to have that space to operate.
Shin, who's played up most of the time, kind of what Harris or Island does for OKC, he is doing for San Antonio. Now the big fella McCarthy gets going, and then they try to get a little too cute, and it's back to the goalkeeper, Cochrane. And instead of grabbing it, he's going to go ahead and blast it down here, trying to set up Craven. But San Antonio was ready for it. They may be countering themselves now with Forbes. Forbes trying to get it ahead for Ajekwa, and Ajekwa was cut off. And now Baril, as the counterattack may be building for the Greens. Harris. You see the shots favoring OKC, and right now the best one so far by Craven that Restrepo swatted away. But it was a powerful shot from Craven in close.
Harris has to get the ball out wide to Baril. Harris tries to get it over 4 players to connect with Craven on the cross. He had Baril out wide. Play it out wide and then stretch out the defense a little bit better.
And Ajekwa now pressuring, and Cochran's had enough of that. And suddenly we're seeing some thrusting from both sides. No shots. But San Antonio has ramped up the pressure considerably. Well, Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC. We invite you to get your grocery shopping done and buy your tickets to the next Energy FC home match, which is next month, at all 4 Supermercado Morelos locations, including Northwest 23rd and Meridian, Northwest 50th and MacArthur, off of Northwest 5th and I-35 in Moore, and the newest location at Southwest 59th Street. So we had a stoppage in play from the referee as we have a cut on McCarthy. You can see it's bleeding from the face, the nose or the mouth. In fact, I thought I saw a little wad of tissue in his nose. So he had to come off the pitch, and that's why we had that stoppage there. Yeah, very clearly a wad of tissue in his nose.
That might have been from the collision with Dixon.
Yep, good point.
I think that was with the came from the collision with Dixon.
Well, wad of tissue or not, bloody mouth or not, McCarthy is coming back in. And just in time, because Harris is dangerous in this situation. No acrobatics. Into the box for Craven. Flicked on a header. McCarthy gets it high in the air. It's available and out of bounds. And a goal kick is coming up, much to the dismay of the Greens. Oh, if you had a tall body in there, could you have had a chance here?
Great flick on header by Wojciech. It's Craven who's the one who gets that flicked on header. No one is there. Far post. But well done, clever play there by Craven. I'm surprised it wasn't a foul whistled for Diego Restrepo. A lot of times when goalkeepers, there's any kind of contact with goalkeepers in that 6-yard box, they whistle in favor of the goalkeeper. It looked like Highland might have had his forearm into the back of Restrepo. For San Antonio, they're lucky to get away with no goal on that instance.
Highland did not get away with that push right there. That was fairly clear. And the referee gets a few words out. The player at Ajekwa was knocked down. So Ibeaga, who's the captain for this squad, will make a quick decision here if he wants to go wide or down the middle.
Yeah. I have to give credit to Oklahoma City's defense. They've been able to get enough bodies back, keep themselves organized, keep their shape defensively. And San Antonio has had a very hard time putting together 3 or 4 passes or making any kind of really dangerous forays in attack. So Oklahoma City, especially that midfield, they're keeping their shape, they're well organized. So far they're doing a good job of keeping San Antonio at bay.
And that swept away, and this could be a problem because you saw a diving effort and the ball was kicked out of danger, but grabbing the right ankle and now tentatively getting up, and that might have just been a little turn for Rasmussen, who's missed some time with injury this year. He's going to try to walk it off, and looks like he's going to be okay. But you know, on that artificial surface, might have got hung up just a tiny bit. He's going to get to test it. He seems to be okay, and he nods. He's ready to go. Showing off the tan line and also making sure that he's got no blood there. And he's going to come off for some quick treatment. He might have a small cut. That's entirely possible. We've already had a couple of players bloodied this evening. Watch what happens to his foot. Really awkward fall.
They're getting physical a little bit. They're seen with 2 or 3 players already. Stay on the ground for a little A bit of a rest, if you will.
McCarthy will back pass it to Ibiaga, back to McCarthy. And aggressively played there by Ojong, but he'll get through too. Oh, good tackle by Highland. Was that clean? Not quite. Thought he had the timing just right, but the referee disagreed. No card there, however, in the 33rd minute.
Yeah, I think Highland might be lucky he didn't get a card there, because the way he slid into that challenge and the way the player went down, he came in really fast, really hard. He's lucky that he didn't get more of the player and get a yellow card, so might have gotten away with one there.
We'll get out now to Ibiaga. We'll remind you again that at 8 o'clock Central on Mondays on Sirius XM FC, it's USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts. That's on channel 85 as Daly kicks it out of bounds, and it will belong to San Antonio. And you can also keep up with Sirius XM FC on channel 85 with the USL Game of the Week, and just check uslsoccer.com for dates and times. Into the box toward where Cochran hangs out. Highland heads it away. And Rasmussen seems to have recovered nicely as he will clear it and look to start the attack. So Highland was involved on both goal attempts there. He missed the header against Restrepo on that high ball by McCarthy, and then prevented a heading opportunity by San Antonio.
That's why it's so important in any aerial situation. It's not always the tallest player that gets the ball. It's the player that's positioned the best, and Highland was positioned the best there. Smart to float into that area, make a great defensive header. He's the smallest or the shortest of the players in the back line, but showing some good technique there to keep that header out.
Baril trying to make a run, and he runs into interference that time from Pekka, and Pekka's called with a foul.
And Baril has been a little frustrated in this match. He hasn't had the ball as much as he would like, but he is putting in hard work defensively. We've seen him track back on that left side on numerous occasions. So while the attack hasn't been flowing for Baril, the touches haven't been flowing for Baril, he's still putting in that effort defensively.
Chance here now for Highland on the left side. Drops it off. Gonzalez creates it's a good pass here. Craven, Rasmussen just outside the box. He didn't have room for that shot, however. It was blocked by the San Antonio defense, and this throw-in will belong to the Greens. And in pretty good shape now for Harris, George, to thrust this into the box.
Yeah, for sure. Especially Rasmussen is a tall player. He could be someone that they target. Looks like Gonzalez and Craven or Baril.
And Daly is another guy you consider also, but Rasmussen is in there. They went low instead for Dixon, and he's got to hurry to get there. And it will be the first corner kick of the match for the Energy. That's usually Baril's job, and he's going to head over there now.
I thought on the throw-in that Michael Harris would get it to Baril, because Baril was unmarked at the top of the penalty area. He could have chosen where he wanted to go with the ball. Instead, he went inside to the penalty spot, into the penalty area. But worked out well. They picked up a corner. Let's see what Baril can do with this service here.
Again, you see the flag there. 21-mile-an-hour winds. Comes out low into traffic. Wallace got a piece of it. Craven elbowing his way through, and two players take a tumble, and will be a goal kick coming up favoring San Antonio. Craven spent a little bit too much time on the canvas for his liking, and now is slow to get up again.
Yeah, it was going to be tough for Craven to win that ball with three San Antonio defenders surrounding him.
It was getting physical there too, and Craven was in that wash with a couple of San Antonio defenders. And the trainer coming out again to tend to Andy Craven, who's a critical player for the next several weeks, not just tonight, but over the long run of this season with Woj's injury out. Let's take a look and see what happened to Andy here. He kind of got caught in between two players.
Yeah.
And kind of got twisted around a little bit in there.
He's been pushed around a little bit in this match. Seen him go down a couple of times. If you're San Antonio, obviously no card, so that's a good thing. If you're San Antonio, you want to make sure that you understand that Craven knows that there's a physical presence there, that he's been pushed around a little bit. You want your strikers to feel that if you're a defender.
So in the 37th minute, Craven is temporarily off the pitch again. He's been bandaged. He's been beat up. He's back out there now. So he's had an adventurous first half. In the meantime, you're going up against one of the top two teams in the West. One of two teams, the Monarchs, also have 30 points. But San Antonio hasn't lost, and they've won 5 in a row away from home. And going for a 6 tonight, but you fought them evenly in the first half. That pass for Barillo, a little lazy. Ajayqua was dangerous there. He wanted a call, not going to get it. And a good counter here from Oklahoma City just to get rid of the ball and put the pressure back on San Antonio, although it will be a throw-in. Nike is an official sponsor of the USL, and for more information, you can just visit NikeSoccer.com.
San Antonio off to a great start this season, but defensively, they have a very good record. But we mentioned it in the pregame, Dave. They've only scored 3 goals in their last 5 USL games. So the attack has been anemic for San Antonio. It's been their defense that has kept them in games, kept them near the top of the USL table. But if Oklahoma City, they can find a way through. They have had good spells of possession. They have been able to move the ball forward. Craven had that great opportunity on goal. So things are looking up for OKC in this match.
Craven got dumped by McCarthy that time, and a clear foul, an easy call for the referee to make. Well, it's 6 consecutive clean sheets by San Antonio, 9 on the year in 12 matches. Only 4 goals surrendered in USL play this season.
And one thing about having a tight defense like that is that as you get later on into the season, if they continue to struggle to score goals, they always have the defense to help them at least get a point. You only need 1 goal to win. Get a good defensive team, you get a good counterattack going on an odd day, and you pick up 3 points here and there, a draw here and there. So the defense, if it's solid, it will always help you out, always keep the team in playoff position.
Now Badil has the wind at his back here. Are they setting up, or is he just going to blast away? He's going to chip. On the header, on and over. Oh, that was perfectly done. And Daly just couldn't coax that header on goal.
And it's a great ball in by Barril. I wonder if maybe Daly should have taken it on his chest and then shoot it. Whatever the case, great service by Barril. Daly just getting low, just sailing that header over the bar. But once again, even though San Antonio's defense is very good, there have been a couple of times where OKC has been able to expose some space and really threaten Diego Restrepo in goal. So things are looking up, as I mentioned before. It's positive what OKC can do in attack in this game.
And they're especially comfortable at home.
Yeah.
All of their victories this season have come at home. They've won 4 straight at Taft. So against a team that's won 5 in a row on the road, it's a fascinating matchup of trends. And we'll see if anything gets busted tonight. And we've talked so much about C.J. Cochran. He was our focus for OKC as the goalie tonight with Lorendi out, and he hasn't faced a shot yet.
Well, sometimes the best way to protect your goalkeeper is to obviously keep things organized in defense in that back line in the midfield, but the best way is to keep the ball in your attacking half. They haven't had the best possession numbers, but more shots, and they've looked the more dangerous side going forward. They've been able to string passes together better in the midfield, so that always is a good way to protect your goalkeeper.
Now that's I thought was a foul on Ojong, and the referee agreed. The Cameroonian scored the knockdown on Guzman as Rasmussen leads the charge for OKC in the 41st minute. Possession is narrowing a little bit from what it was earlier, just a tiny bit. But shots, that we just showed you, favoring the Greens. Highland trying to get it in the air to Craven. Craven with a little bit of a bump, no call. Chin controls. Off the head of Badil, off the head of a San Antonio player. Now Highland will have a chance. Badil was asking for it. Highland goes in a different direction to Rasmussen. Now to Badil.
Badil is waiting for someone to make a run.
He's going to do it. Yeah. Dropping it off. Restrepo kicks it away. He had Craven crashing, and also Dixon was crashing.
This is great footwork and confidence by Barril. Get past Sean Chin. Craven just timing his run late, but Restrepo, he's well positioned there. That's what a goalkeeper has to do. Be in the right position to make the play.
And let's remind everybody that Chin is the substitute. He has not played that much.
Right.
This is just his second start of the season. And the referee apparently has decided that both Daly and McCarthy have been pushing just a little bit too much in setting up for this corner kick. But Chin is in tonight with Greg Cochran suspended for a game for being sent off last week. So Chin is playing at right back, and Ben Noonan, normally the right back, is the left back. So that might be an issue tonight. Baril serving it. Headed, and I don't know if he got a piece of that or not.
Nope.
He did not. So unfortunately for the Greens, that'll be a goal kick for Diego Restrepo.
And going back to your point about Sean Chin out wide on the right, that's not his natural position either. He's more of a creative midfielder, attack-minded midfielder. He has pace, which is why I understand why Darren Powell put him out wide on the right. An attacking player out wide on the right will help your attack, and with his pace, he can drop back in case there's a counterattack as well, add something, add that extra dimension, but it's not his natural position, so defensively he may be confused as to what to do.
Yeah, Restrepo with a nifty move there as Craven was forechecking, and Restrepo just stopped on a dime and got rid of him.
That's kind of the modern evolution of goalkeeping. They want goalkeepers now to play the ball with their feet very well for situations just like that. That's what Diego Restrepo did.
That ball left behind a little bit sloppily by San Antonio. Baril was able to intercept, and the throw-in will favor the Greens here. So Jimmy Nielsen up very quickly for some instructions to his squad. Stoppage time, probably get at least 2 minutes, maybe more. We've had the trainer out several times, and we've had a couple of discussions with the referee. No cautions issued so far.
I haven't seen too much of Miguel Gonzalez in the last, 10, 12 minutes. They have to find a way to get him more touches on the ball in order to be successful in attack. We've seen Baril getting more touches. That's a positive thing, but Miguel Gonzalez has to get more involved in the attack.
Guzman, the captain, with Lorendi gone for a couple of games. And San Antonio will try to press here. Tierman. Daly slowed him down enough to actually ended up ruining the attack now. Baril is playing with tremendous confidence, trying to push forward for Craven, but Restrepo will get there first and let it go.
No one on the San Antonio attack one-on-one can keep Baril in front of him. He has those quick feet, great confidence in his dribbling ability. He can get around anyone in San Antonio. By
the way, coming up the half, our man Brent Skarke is going to show us the relationship with youth soccer in the city of Oklahoma. Excuse me, Oklahoma City, pardon me. And the Police Athletic League had a championship game at Taft not long ago, and Brent will take us back to that matchup and show the energy commitment to the community in Oklahoma City. So it'll be fun. And we'll also hear from Brent and Jimmy Nielsen.
Definitely want to hear the thoughts of the coach after this first half.
Castillo with a good ball in the air there. And we're going to have 3 minutes of extra time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official on the sidelines indicated it'll be a minimum of 3
Abiyaga
minutes.
being pressed.
3 minutes.
And that's one thing we've seen George a lot out of OKC tonight is just what we're seeing there. Some pressure on the ball. That has to be a foul, and is. That was Gonzalez who was pushed. Now Highland, and the referee will clear Rafa Castillo out of there.
Well, with the way San Antonio have been struggling to string together passes in the midfield and building up the attack, it's a smart play, smart move by Jimmy Nielsen to press that back line a little bit, create a turnover, as we saw there, and regain possession in their attacking half. So maybe they'll do that at the start of the second half, and that should open up a goal-scoring opportunity. We'll see.
Medina drops it off now for Gonzalez. 1v1 here. He'll throw it into the box for the header from Craven, who just clipped it, and this will be a goal kick. Didn't get much on it.
It's a good service there by Gonzalez. Craven, seen on a couple of occasions he's been able to get his head onto the ball. Unfortunately, hasn't led to a goal, but he is very confident. He has that little knack. He's not the tallest player, but some players sometimes they just have that knack of getting contact and winning those aerial balls. So now it's a matter of, is he going to score? Will it set up another teammate? That's going to be crucial.
Restrepo to midfield, but that kick again. He's kicking into the wind, I want to point out, because it's a very brisk breeze this evening at Taft.
You like the poise and the patience of Oklahoma City here. They're not trying to go route one with the long ball too much. They want to play, as they say, they want to play some football. You know, they want to play soccer. Keep the ball on the ground, get everybody touch, use the skill. And then San Antonio's pressing forces a long ball. Luckily for OKC, they get it back.
Craven was quick to pounce on that loose ball opportunity. He eats more turf. And this is going to be a booking, I believe. Yep, into the pocket goes the official, and it's going to be Ojong who's going to be hit with the yellow card. Former Seattle 2 player, has a goal this year, now has a yellow in this game.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials issued a yellow card to San Antonio.
I think that the referee saw that left leg come over and clip Craven, and that's probably where the yellow card came from, because previous to that there wasn't contact to the point that deserved the yellow, but that left leg sweeping in might have been what caused the yellow card, and caused the referee to give a yellow card.
So we'll see what the set piece is here with Badil taking it again with the wind at the back. He'll drive it toward the left box and on the head of Daly, and he just could not control it and get it on net. So we'll probably see the last seconds go by here. As soon as Restrepo kicks his ball, most likely we'll get the whistle.
Yep. This is OKC have been able to get headers in the area. Just hasn't been able to get to the point where Restrepo has been forced to make a big save. But it's there for OKC. That's something that they can exploit when the second half begins.
Yeah, a lot for Jimmy Nielsen to build on, no question about it, with the way this half went. And that is the end of the half. Not even going to have the kick, I believe, from Restrepo as the team's head of the dressing room. C.J. Cochran in the start tonight for Cody Lorendi, not tested yet, has not faced a shot in goal. Meantime, the Greens defensively have played well. They had the better run of play, but we are still tied at 0-0. Coming up, halftime festivities, including words with Jimmy Nielsen. Brent Skarkey will take us through the Police Athletic League Championship as well.
Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, setting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
Find out how a Mercy doctor can take care of you. At Mercy, your life is our life's work.
Your banking needs are personal, none more so than your personal checking. FFB has a checking solution for you. Like FFB's debit card rewards, which earns you points with every debit card purchase. Points for travel, hotels, restaurants, or merchandise from your favorite stores. And as always, you'll enjoy FFB checking perks like mobile deposit, online bill pay, and free ATMs worldwide. That's a lot of punch packed into a little plastic. Visit ffb.com/rewards for more today.
Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, setting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
We are 0-0 as the teams are getting hydrated and getting ready to get the second half underway in a few minutes. You know, the Energy FC is working hard to grow the game of soccer in Oklahoma City. One relationship that's blossomed this season was the Police Athletic League. And recently, the PALS League held its championship matches at Taft Stadium prior to an Energy FC match. Energy FC digital reporter Brent Skarkey shows us how the relationship has made soccer stronger in OKC.
You got to think that some of the young fans at Energy games dream of being able to play on the pitch at Taft themselves someday. Well, on a Saturday in late May, for these 6th graders, that dream came true. Before the Energy played host to OC, the Police Athletic League held their 6th grade boys and girls championship games. The Police Athletic League is a local nonprofit that partners with the OKC PD. Police officers go into the schools, work in sports leagues and mentoring programs for 4th to 12th graders. The Police Athletic Soccer League lasts 8 weeks with games every Saturday. And for the Rancho Village and Westwood girls, this was a very special Saturday. Naomi Altunez and Nora Zuniga Galen, both with goals. Rancho wins at 4-1. The girls elated to take home the hardware.
My name's Nora, and this is my favorite coach.
Thanks.
How's it feel to win?
It feels pretty good.
This is such a neat experience for them to be out here on a big field. We play in Oklahoma City Parks and Rec's location normally, and so coming out here and being in the stadium with all their fans and family on the sideline, it's got to be a lot of fun for them.
On the boys' side, it was Lee versus Westwood in the championship game. 6th grader Brian Reyes with the goal. And then Julio Cruz. Lee wins it, hoists the trophy.
It's really fun. It's a dream. It's really good.
I'd really like to just point out that I have some phenomenal young men that play for me and that work for me. Before every game, all I ask is that they give me everything they've got. And it looks like I've got a pretty solid group of champions to win back-to-back.
Exciting second year with Powell. They had huge expansion this year. I mean, doubled almost in numbers to 800 players, and that's 6th graders only. It's a real inner city community outreach league, but we're always trying to be aspirational with it as well. And so we'd heard all year long about what a big deal it was going to be for them to kind of come to the big show and play in the same environment that the professional team gets to play in. So there were a lot of teams who've been shooting for that goal for a long time. So both on the boys and the girls side, ones who had earned that right and won their way through. They had a couple of quarterfinal, semifinal type games in the morning, but the victors came out and then got the opportunity to play at Taft Stadium. And again, not just to play on the pitch, but really to be kind of produced like a professional game too, with photography and interviews and all the things that make those young kids aspire to be a pro.
For more information on the Police Athletic League, visit energyfc.com and learn more about the ways the Energy FC is growing the beautiful game. For Energy FC TV, I'm Brent Skarkey.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey, she's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends. Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
raised the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
Nil-nil at the end of an energetic first half. We'll find out what OKC's Jimmy Nielsen thinks about. Brent Skarkey caught up with him, and we'll have the second half when we return.
Your banking needs are personal, none more so than your personal checking. FFB has a checking solution for you. Like FFB's debit card rewards, which earns you points with every debit card purchase. Points for travel, hotels, restaurants, or merchandise from your favorite stores. And as always, you'll enjoy FFB checking perks like mobile deposit, online bill pay, and free ATMs worldwide. That's a lot of punch packed into a little plastic. Visit ffb.com/rewards for more today.
Find out how a Mercy doctor can take care of you. At Mercy, your life is our life's work.
What if you could keep an eye on your business every hour of every day and know where your customers are at any moment? See what your employees are doing or tell if your windows and doors are secure. And what if you could do all that from anywhere? Introducing Cox Business Security. With HD surveillance and 24/7 monitoring, our security never sleeps, so you can. Cox Business Security Solutions. Security that means business.
Words about the first half.
We are with Coach Nielsen right now. They came in, best record in the USL, but the energy, good form coming in. You got to be happy with the pressure the offense is applying in this first half.
I know we haven't seen a lot of goals, but to be fair, in those conditions here, it's actually a pretty good game. It's two good teams up against each other. We're trying both teams to break each other down, and I'm expecting another good second half.
Wind's going to be against us in that second half.
Yeah, sometimes we play a lot better against the wind.
Sounds great to me. Coach, appreciate it. Coach Jimmy Nielsen.
All right, Brent and Jimmy, thank you very much. And don't forget tonight's match in the Fidget Spinners, sponsored by Energy FC, founding partner First Fidelity Bank. So George and I will take you through the highlights, and obviously we're not going to have any goals. And really, George, the best chances have been for the Greens.
Absolutely, they certainly have been the cleaner side going forward. They've made sharper passes. This was an excellent movement down the right side in which Craven was able to get an opportunity on. That was the first chance he had there with Dixon getting a chance. And Craven has, with that liberty to move left and right up at the top of the formation, top of the attack. Here's the chance here down the right side. Good passing between Harris and Gonzalez. And then Craven making a smart run, timing his run. Easy ball in for Gonzalez. Great turn by Craven, and Restrepo making a big save.
So he now has 6.5 clean sheets, Restrepo, because Highland tries to get up in the air for this, just missed time to jump, and that wound up being a goal kick. That was close.
And we've seen Craven on a couple of occasions actually get in the air, make contact with the ball with his head. Just hasn't been able to finish, but he's looking dangerous in the air, as has been Andy Craven.
Now Badil chips in for Daly, and that little header. Oh, that was close there. If he gets more on that.
Oh, yes, for sure. Just couldn't keep it down there, but it's something that is a positive for Oklahoma City in this first half. They've been able to get their ball on a couple of occasions, get their head onto a couple of services in the area.
And here's an inspired run by Badil, but watch the keeper off the line. Nice.
Yep, and you can see Miguel Gonzalez, or excuse me, that was Alex Dixon making kind of a late run asking for it, but Badil tried to get it to Craven in the middle, and Restrepo just cut off the angle. Well done there.
Well, we would love to give you an in-depth assessment of the C.J. Cochran era, but he has not had to work that hard because zero shots on target for San Antonio. Yes, they have the possession edge, and they've had the one caution that was issued to Ojong, and that's been it. Clean match for OKC. 7 shots, so how do you get one in the goal if you're OKC?
Well, they just have to continue to do what they're doing, which is when they do have possession, they are pushing the ball forward, moving into space. Craven has shown the ability to get on the end of headers or get on services when the ball is in the air. And they just have to continue to do what they're doing in this first half. And also when they have to go defensively, make sure they stay organized and cut off the San Antonio's attack.
Well, San Antonio has not lost in 12 matches. They have 9 victories and 3 draws. Here's what's coming up for these guys here. They will take on the Tulsa Roughnecks in a rematch. This is a USL game, not a US Open Cup match. Then they go off to take on the Switchbacks and in Sacramento. Then a rematch in San Antonio versus the Energy. And then July 22nd, there's a heavyweight championship of the Western Division. The top 2 teams in the West, Real Monarchs, SLC.
Yes, 3 of their next 5 at home, so San Antonio will be looking to obviously remain unbeaten, but also kind of push Real Monarchs at the top of the Western Conference.
And for the Greens, the next 5 coming up, not including that June 14th match in the U.S. Open Cup against Colorado, but they go for the big West Coast swing. Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Salt Lake, before they finally come home for the big game against the Roughnecks.
Yes. If they can pull, of those 4 road games, there's 12 points available. If they can get about 9 or 10, then they will be in excellent position for the playoffs. This is a crucial part of the season. If they can get 9 out of the 12 points on that 4-game road trip, they will build their confidence, and they will be a very dangerous team in the Western Conference.
That's the next 5 for the Greens, and there you see, and you just take a quick look at familiar faces. And I don't think Jim Nielsen's making any changes in the half. And also you take a good look at the breeze and how that's affected the action now. In this case, when they switch ends, the breeze will now favor that team right there, San Antonio.
Yeah, for sure. What we saw in the first half was Oklahoma City able to use the aerial play to threaten the goal of San Antonio. Now it might go in reverse here for San Antonio, so we'll see how C.J. Cochran responds. This could be where C.J. Cochran is a little bit busier here in this second half. We shall see.
We saw the conversation between Billy Forbes, number 7 there, and his fellow midfielder Rafa Castillo, ending in a bro hug, and let's see if that leads to anything else for undefeated San Antonio.
San Antonio, what has been in their saving grace in this match has been the fact that OKC's finishing has just been a little bit off. Restrepo making a couple of huge saves or huge interventions, if you will, on a couple of different occasions. And the fact that they've just been able to get numbers back, and that has kind of slowed OKC's attack, especially when they're trying to build from the back and play the ball through the midfield.
And there is getting a foot on the ball briefly there, Billy Forbes, who has 6 goals and 3 assists, 5th leading goal scorer in the United Soccer League. But a quiet first half for him. Again, no shots recorded by San Antonio officially. Well, that's going to be a foul. I don't think you can possibly complain there if you're Guzman on that one, and he doesn't. He knows. He is the captain tonight, with Cody Lorendi having been called up to play for the Puerto Rican national team in Indonesia. So Lorendi will miss Not just tonight's match, but the U.S. Open Cup match in Colorado. Past everybody, Castillo, I don't know if he ever saw it, because when Daly went in the air, it might have blocked Castillo's vision, and he never got even so much of a tiny hair off his head on that ball.
Oh, that is very close there. OKC, they got lucky that Castillo didn't see that ball, or whatever the case, didn't make contact, because he was unmarked. He could have chested that ball down and really gave C.J. Cochran a hard time, maybe even scored, who knows, but OKC dodging a little bit of a bullet there.
So Cochran will get his foot into this. You can see how the wind affects that kick compared to what he did in the first half. And that will be a factor. We saw Restrepo struggle a little bit too. He's got a good leg, and he was not even getting him to midfield.
Well, this is a situation now that the wind is against Oklahoma City and Energy. They want to play the ball on the ground even more. So look for them to build on the ground, be more patient, keep the ball at their feet. And this man right here, Miguel Gonzalez, has to get more touches in the second half.
Quiet first half for Gonzalez for sure compared to some of the other games he's had. And now Castillo starts things out here for San Antonio. They've held opponents without a goal for 6 consecutive USL matches. And there you see a shot blocked by Harris as Forbes tried to crank one goalward. And there you see the Fuia Verde crowd even having their famed flag and taking a little bit of a beating tonight.
Well, because of the wind, the guys don't have to wave it too much.
Good point.
Yeah.
Ball at the top of the box, cleared away by Baril. There's Gonzalez.
Mother Nature helping out the Green Fury.
Oh, Andy Craven got a little physical there. No call, we play on, says the official. Advantage gained by San Antonio. Darren Powell, the head coach for San Antonio, probably a little shocked that Craven didn't get popped for that contact. Gonzalez again with Craven. Little touch by Rasmussen over to Highland, and tried to get it ahead to Gonzalez, but that San Antonio defense was too much. Gonzalez with a little push there.
Have to give a little bit of credit here to Juan Pablo Guzman on the defensive end. When Michael Harris was pushing up defending, there was a player trying to make a run in behind Michael Harris, and Guzman stayed on his shoulder, marked him very well, filled in that space, and that forced San Antonio to play the ball in the middle, and eventually they lost possession. That's the beauty of what Guzman does for this team.
The Energy FC Gold Card is a benefit for season seat members. It earns them discounts at several metro area locations like All-American Roofing, Abel's Mexican Restaurant, MVS Seamless Guttering, Latino's Supermarket, and Cotner Law Group. Learn more, visit energyfc.com/gold. Well, you can see the difference in the breeze affecting these goal kicks. Restrepo now much more dangerous than he was, and we saw what happened with Cochran. Now Forbes has some good footwork, but it's swept away, and nobody home down deep. McCarthy will bunt it back to Restrepo again, and he'll start with a conservative pass to Ibeaga.
That was, once again, Guzman tracking back and disrupting Forbes, not allowing him to get a clean touch on the ball, and he gave the ball away. Guzman just doing excellent work defensively.
Forbes stumbled that time, no push. Excuse me, that was not Forbes. Ajikawa was a player who lost his footing, and the official was right not to call anything there. Wallace, who seems to be a fixture now on that back line for Jimmy Nielsen. Ahead to Craven. Andy Craven getting the USL start tonight with Woj out indefinitely following elbow surgery. That nasty fall. You know, the guy was still signing autographs after the game. With his arm braced up, he had a fractured left elbow and was still greeting the fans after that win on Tuesday night.
Well, no one can say that he doesn't appreciate the fans or is not working hard for the fans. He's got a broken arm and he's still showing them love. That's someone you want on your team right there. I'm sure the club officials and club directors are very proud of that and very smiling about that. Great commitment to the team there. It's too bad Wojcik got hurt, because with those 2 goals, he just got the feeling that his season was just about to erupt. He was just starting to figure out how to play with some new teammates, and unfortunately he got hurt.
And he was scoring. He scored in the U.S. Open Cup game, so he was becoming a force. He gets the brace, and then unfortunately, as we said, he needed a brace at the end of the night to hold that elbow back together. The USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting uslsoccer.com, and make sure you follow them on Twitter at USL. And by the way, during the week you get match previews, any breaking news going on, and they retweet club news, so the USL folks are very active on Twitter.
Also on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, see old games as well. I do that sometimes, so yeah, it's the scope of the internet USL is using very well.
Yeah, you can take us with you too. You can get YouTube on your phone if you're out and about and watch a USL match. And a little give and go here now as Badil breaks down the left side just a little too far. Ibiaga got in the way, but Gonzalez now chips. Craven and Rasmussen down there looking for a mistake to be made by that stiff back line of San Antonio's. A throw-in coming up here for Harris.
Smart run by Rasmussen. And good defense there by Noonan. Gets over the top of Noonan. Rasmussen has a chance to go on goal. Great vision there by Miguel Gonzalez.
Harris had not seen the acrobatic throw-ins yet, and that time that ball hung up just a little bit. Shot! And out of nowhere, Badil was able to uncork a left footer, but it was just way too high, and that will be a goal kick for Diego Restrepo.
Jose Badil has a lot of room to operate. He has had a ton of space to move. They're not getting on top of him. They're not pressing him. They're not denying him the ball. The more touches he gets and the more space he's able to move and run, the more dangerous OKC looks in attack. Jose Badil is starting to come alive here in the second half.
First touch we've seen from Chris Tierpak in this half anyway. 53rd minute, and it's not a surprise to see that San Antonio has not given up a goal. They're really good at that, but they have not been scoring much lately, and OKC's defense has played well. And we're still waiting for a shot. May not have to wait long. Contact in the box, and that's going to be a foul against Tierpak, against Highland, and that's going to be, as Tierpak helps him up, a goal kick, a foul, and an opportunity now for OKC to start things over. I was about to say no shots officially for San Antonio, and now we have them for two.
This is where Highland and his quickness, his speed comes into play.
That'll go clean to Cochran.
He was able to just kind of screen himself, use his body to get in between the ball and Tierpak desperate to get a touch on the frame, fouls him from behind. But we've seen the positioning of Eric Highland. Excuse me, why do I keep saying Eric? Kyle. It must be confusing with South Park. I don't know what it is, but Kyle Highland. I don't know what's wrong with me. Kyle Highland is done very well with his positioning in the penalty area throughout this game.
Just don't call him Eric Cartman and you're fine.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know why. I keep saying Eric. It's Kyle.
Eric Highland's in a lot better condition.
Oh, for sure. They do respect his authority.
They better.
Yeah.
Now Forbes. This is an inspired run from Forbes, and he is slowed down. That's going to go against Harris. He doesn't like the call, and you can see Badil's reaction too. He gives the ball up to Castillo. But a little bit of contact. Forbes has gotten to be a little more edgy in this half than he was in the first half, getting much more involved.
Yeah, for sure. Much more active for sure. That's a good thing for San Antonio. OKC has to be careful of that. But the further away he gets from the penalty area and the touches further away from the penalty area, OKC can deal with that.
Castillo gets out of the way. Noonan for the box. And a lot of traffic there. Didn't get it up very high either. But Chin will just lob it in there, and nobody home other than the goalkeeper. And a quick distribution out here to Alex Dixon, that's going to be interference. That's going to lead to a booking. We're going to get a card right here.
Well-deserved card there. Noonan definitely deserves a card there.
That's his fourth of the year.
Because Dixon was going to just blow right past him. It's a smart throw out there by Cochran. You can see Dixon's smart first touch. He was going to breeze past Noonan and had all kinds of space in behind Noonan to exploit. So it's a smart play by Noonan, who definitely deserved the yellow card.
Yeah. One more in this game and he's out. And we'll also give him 5. And then he's out. So I mentioned they've got a few players threatening that mark. And McCarthy and Ibiaga, also number 3, has 4 yellows. And now Noonan has 4 yellows, and they're playing without Greg Cochran, who was red carded against Swope and is suspended for the 1 game. Throwing coming up for OKC's Energy. We'll remind you about the next home match. Really aren't going to want to miss being there for that. And Harris will throw it deep down the field. And got it to where McCarthy heads it away. Gives me a chance to remind you about July 11th, the Turnpike rival, Tulsa Roughnecks FC, 7:30 p.m. at Taft. Tickets are available if you call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com/tickets. Energy probably very, very happy to be home after spending a considerable amount of time away from Oklahoma City these next few weeks.
And as we mentioned before at halftime, if they can, out of 12 possible points on that road swing, they get about 9 or 10, they'll come back toward that rivalry game or in that rivalry game feeling extra confident. That just adds more spice to that black and gold derby between OKC and Tulsa.
Now, we have a whistle here behind the play. We have a foul on the Energy, and a little slow to get up that time. Number 14, Jaquan. You know, Jimmy Nielsen's got an interesting situation, too, coming up, George. You got this match tonight, and you have a match Wednesday in Colorado, U.S. Open Cup. How much emphasis do you place on that when you have a league match in Portland on Friday?
Ooh, that is tough.
So that's a quick turnaround. You're still flying another time zone over.
Yep.
And, you know, what do you do? It's a great honor to get deep in the U.S. Open Cup, and they're doing it as well as anybody in the USL. But league matches, you know, what do you consider more important? That's Jimmy Nielsen's decision. He told us earlier in the week, our intrepid reporter Brian Duvall, he told Brian that, you know, I'm not even mentioning Colorado right now. Not a word. Now Craven with a chance, just outside the box. Sprints into it, drops it off here for Dixon. Dixon will try to get service. It's a little fire. Highland can't get there.
Yeah, to continue on the point about the scheduling and how do you manage the team and everything like that. What's the coach speak? 1 game at a time. Well, they have to take it that way, obviously. But that's where your squad depth is going to be very important. But also the training sessions are going to be very important as well. You don't want to tire the players out too much with training, but you still want to keep them in good condition. So that's that balance. But also I think psychologically that's going to be important too, because the mental strain of having to play 3 games in possibly, 8 or 9 days is going to be tough as well. And I think especially last season, Jimmy Nielsen managed the club very well. They made a deep run in the USL or US Open Cup, so he knows what to do there.
Now OKC, midfield, long ball, too long. And it gives us a chance to tell you about what you can do on Mondays at 8 o'clock Central Time and Sirius XMFC Channel 85. Listen to USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts. You can stay up to date on everything going on in the USL and information from around the league. And do not forget, you can get the game of the week on Sirius XMFC. All you got to do is check USLsoccer.com. Times and dates.
When is it? Monday?
Mondays at 8 Central.
8 Central?
Yes, sir.
9 o'clock?
9 Eastern. And what is it, 2 o'clock? It's 3 o'clock in Honolulu. Have me hanging out there sometime.
9 o'clock. I think I might be watching Monday Night Raw is on WWE.
Well, you got to be, well, you could have the Sirius XM app. There's lots of ways you can follow Sirius and Mike's show, so you could do that.
I'll ask Mike if he can talk about John Cena or somebody like that. Yeah.
Good. Eric Cartman, John Cena,
yeah.
we you know, whatever you want, man. Now the cross in here, looking for Dixon. He goes for it, can't get it the first time, can't get it the second time either. It'll be a throw-in for San Antonio in the 61st minute. I don't know, let me ask you, what did you expect out of this match tonight, knowing San Antonio is so hard to score on, but knowing that OKC has been putting more goals in the back of the net lately? We're at 0-0, and now an opportunity here. Hang on just a second as Tierpak breaks free, and Cochran, it's still available, and Highland will calmly get it over to Harris. That was dangerous. San Antonio had a good opportunity, and Cochran played it very well. My question is, we're at 0-0 in the 61st minute. Is that surprising to you?
No, not at all, because San Antonio is a team that has struggled to score goals. They got very lucky there that Tierpak was able to get behind the defense. If the ball wasn't played so far out wide, Tierpak could have gone straight on against C.J. Cochran, and Cochran does a good job here to make sure he gets to it before Jaquad does. But when you consider San Antonio's struggles in attack, scoring goals recently, 3 goals in their last 5 games, the fact that 4 goals allowed all throughout the season, this was going to be a tight game. So I'm not surprised that it's 0-0, that because of the situation. So I'm not surprised at the 0-0 result. I have been surprised that San Antonio have had more of the possession, but 0-0 so far when you consider San Antonio's record and OKC's. They struggle a little bit. I know they got 3 goals against Phoenix, but they still have struggled a little bit in attack. I'm not surprised.
Just 10 goals all season, with 3 of those in that one match we mentioned. Their differential -4. The San Antonio differential is a laughable, in a positive way, +17.
Wow.
One note I want to bring up, every once in a while, if you notice your picture shakes, it's not because of the wind, it's the fans at Taft shaking the bleachers to the point where our cameras will vibrate every once in a while. So that's what's going on there. As Rasmussen has a chance, leaves it for Dixon. This looks dangerous. Dixon drops it off. Oh, Gonzalez had a chance again, and he just missed the opportunity. Leaves it now for Guzman. Over to Baril. Oh, that didn't work at all. That was Rasmussen, rather, not Baril. And I guess he was trying to blast it, and he just got under it.
Oh, that's a tough break for Oklahoma City. Rasmussen, brilliant ball out wide to Dixon. Great ball inside by Dixon. Just if a couple more players are pushing up, Miguel Gonzalez takes a long angle. So he overruns it a little bit, and so he can't recover in time or just be in the right position to one-time it into the back of the net. But once again, this is what happens when Rasmussen pushes up and Dixon was unmarked down the right side. Dixon has been unmarked the entire game. They just haven't been able to find him consistently out there on the right.
So Dixon, and it's stripped away from him by Ujong, and he almost winds up in Jimmy Nielsen's lap. He's a genial fellow, though, fortunately, and took it well. Gonzalez, Dixon coming over to help out. A little collision there with Forbes. And that whistle will go in favor of the Energy, I believe, as Forbes going to get a quick talking to from the referee, which allows me to remind you about the Energy FC Gold Card. It's a benefit for season seat members and earning them discounts at several metro area locations like Whole Foods, Carl's Plaques, Anthem Brewing, and Buffalo Wild Wings on Northwest Expressway. To learn more, just visit energyfc.com/gold. Rasmussen puts the right foot to this one. Headed away by McCarthy, who's got a big height advantage on Craven. In fact, over most anybody at 6'5". And now trying to counter to Tierpak, and that's just behind him. And it'll be a throw-in coming up for Wallace or Harris here. Let's see who'll take it. Or maybe even Highland here for OKC. And we'll take you, see the kits. We talked about the blue-greens they had the other night. These are also pretty sharp. Provided by Under Armour. You can get your new kit by visiting the Energy FC store in Automobile Alley or shop energyfc.com.
I want to get one of those. None of my friends have an Energy FC kit, so I'd be the only one to have one. That would be pretty cool.
You'd be the first on your block.
Yes. That'd be smooth. And then my friends would want to borrow it, and I'd be like, no.
Oh, no, you don't borrow it. No. Because they don't clean it right.
Oh, no.
If they you can't put it, you have to dry it properly or shrink. No, you gotta be careful.
And my friends would purposely sweat in it and then give it back to me. You know? So, no.
Nothing worse than purposeful sweating by somebody else.
For real.
Castillo marked well that time by Rasmussen. And the referee comes up with a mark, and this could turn out to be interesting as Gonzalez takes advantage of it. He needs a little bit of help, though. He needs more green and white down there.
Yep.
And the referee almost marked that one, too, as Castillo gets it back. Probably felt he shouldn't have lost it in the first place. Jaquad dribbling, and Wallace rejects his pass. Oh, clever move there by Gonzalez. Beautifully done, passing it essentially to himself. Baril drags it for Dixon, and now this looks promising, the build-up here for OKC. Dixon looking right, looking left, creating, flicking to Craven. Oh, and Restrepo stones him.
What a brilliant move by Dixon in the middle.
Still not over with. Restrepo will knock that down and calm down everything. Oh, this is a sparkling save.
Well, this started in the midfield with Gonzalez playing it out wide to Barril, and then Barril smartly getting into Dixon. Dixon pinching in, Barril going out wide. That distracted the defense, opened up a little bit of space for Craven to make a run. He timed his run perfectly, and he just couldn't finish it. But great football by OKC, passing positively up the pitch in attack quickly with pace. That's what they can do, and just need to do it consistently. But well done by OKC.
At the moment, Diego Restrepo can't breathe very well. If you saw that low angle on the save, he took that shot from Craven right in the chest.
Yeah.
And had to get up and very quickly capture the ball again. He'll survive, and he might as well take a little time to get a beverage, and McCarthy will jump in there too. And the sheets remain clean.
Yes.
Going for his 7th consecutive clean sheet. You know what? You might see that save on the USL website. If you go to USLsoccer.com or go to Twitter at USL, you get to, you know what you can do at the USL Soccer website is vote for Goal of the Week and vote for Save of the Week. And we're going to have a substitution right here. And a player out of South Florida will come in, Ali Hassan, who went to university at Nova Southeastern University, and coming off will be number 14, Ajekwa. So Hassan in, Ajekwa out.
Hassan, another former Fort Lauderdale striker.
Yep.
Big body, someone who can get in the air and get on the end of services as well. So more of a target man, a point man in attack for San Antonio.
Castillo just took over the ball and was sort of sitting there for anybody to get. Now Tierpak going to back to Castillo. Tierpak was trying to find his way through the green and white defense and could not. Chin drops it into the box, headed out, and kicked out. Good backline defense all night long by OKC in front of CJ Cochran, making his first USL start of the season tonight. Play on, says the ref. Craven got knocked down, but OKC has the advantage. Dixon and Gonzalez have been communicating well the last couple of minutes. Dixon with a switch, and great hustle, but not going to be enough, I don't think. Oh, it is. Yep. We play on. He saved that, did Highland. And now it's just stolen by Pekka. And Pekka's pass, still waiting to see a black shirt in the picture. We don't.
Yeah, I think Pekka was expecting Forbes to blaze down that left side, try to start something quickly on a counterattack. Didn't quite work. But Miguel Gonzalez, more and more space to operate. Dixon getting more and more involved in the attack. OKC looking more and more dangerous.
Well, Hassan has not played since May 20th, but he does have a goal this year for San Antonio. And there he is right now trying to pick the pocket of Barril. And that's going to be ruled in favor of the Energy. We see right there where the 4th official is, and a yellow card coming. And if that's on McCarthy, that's 5 right there.
He's out for the next game.
So that's the 3rd yellow, too, because Noonan has one. Ojong has one, and now McCarthy is going to get one, too. And that will, he gets a day off, whether he likes it or not.
Talking a little too much trash to the referee, Greg Dopka.
Well, OKC has kept their cool. No cautions against the Greens tonight. Good move there by Harris to the middle of the field. He'll chip looking for Dixon. Doesn't win that battle in the air, however, that time. But now Gonzalez will run it down. He's come alive the last 10 minutes or so. Gonzalez drops it off for Barril. Gets by Tierpak. After doing a 360, he gets it over to Rasmussen. Ball through here. Gonzalez trying to turn and find a shot. Doesn't have one. McCarthy marking him well. And that should be a corner kick for the Green. Diego Restrepo furious with somebody. I think it's Forbes he is yelling at, because Forbes is giving it right back to him.
Yeah, well done there by Philip Rasmussen. He saw that Gonzalez was making the run, so he got it to him pretty deep. You saw that Dixon was flashing near post. Craven, a little slow to get to the far post, but was still making his way out there. And Miguel Gonzalez just doing enough to win a corner for Oklahoma City. Look at 0 corners for San Antonio. That's a big indication of how they haven't been able to generate anything in attack.
Barril comes out low and hard. And it will be up in the air and available now for, oh, that's fouled off. That was not a smooth kick by Forbes at all. And now OKC gets a chance to put on the pressure, but they had to get Dixon onside. He did get onside finally. And now Baril. And he can go left foot into the box if he wanted to. But they'll work it out to Highland. Speaking of good left feet, he'll blast from long distance. And that'll be blocked out of bounds as Tierpak took the brunt of that shot.
It's been tough for Oklahoma City to break into the penalty area consistently because San Antonio just have been able to get numbers back. Basically just getting numbers back and making it difficult to send in crosses. Oklahoma City have been more effective when they keep the ball on the ground, make the run into the area, get in behind that defense, just time their runs. No one in the midfield is pressuring Rasmussen or Guzman.
Rasmussen now through to Craven. Craven, that's a drop off for Baril. It's high and into the crowd. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, all you have to do is visit NikeSoccer.com. With George Metellus, I'm Dave Lamont. 0-0 in this match, amazingly. Although you do have two streaks going here. You've got a 4-game home win streak, and that's just in USL play. 5 if you count US Open Cup for the Energy. And San Antonio has won 5 straight on the road, which is remarkable in any league. And they're going for 6 tonight. They've got 6 consecutive clean sheets for Diego Restrepo between the pipes. And that's holding up so far.
Yep, and it's been Restrepo the one who has kept OKC out with a couple of big-time saves. So while his back line hasn't done well in terms of marking or limiting the amount of space Oklahoma City's attackers can get into, Restrepo has cleaned up all the messes in front of him, and he's putting in a man of the match performance, at least for San Antonio.
And Harris slows that down and got it to Dixon, who saved it from going out of bounds. Dixon now to Guzman. Guzman trying to get it to Craven, and Ibiaga will get there first. Craven got a foot on it, tried to save it, and did not. And it looks like we're going to wave somebody into the match, and that's going to be another substitution for San Antonio.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. San Antonio FC substitution number 30.
So Zach Harivo, or should I say this proper? Elivo? Elivo will come in. Zach Elivo from Haiti, and Tierpak will come out.
Elivo started that game against Full Park. More of a central midfield player who looks like he's making his way out wide to the left side. So we'll see if maybe Forbes moves over to the right, see how that affects the team.
And he gets involved immediately. Of course, those fresh legs, those guys come off the bench like they're shot out of a cannon, and they tend to have an impact. Now, we've not seen any OKC substitutions. On. Oh, what a service.
Oh,
wave it off. Offsides. That was beautifully done, except for the offside. Castillo will have this goal erased.
And this is the 3rd time we've seen San Antonio play a long ball and catch the Oklahoma City Energy backline by surprise. And he's clearly offsides, yep.
Yeah, that is Hassan, by the way, not Castillo. Number 9, Hassan, who got a foot on it, directs it toward the goal. But the flag was up. The referee had it all the way, so as if it never happened.
Right. But this is the 3rd time we've seen a long ball played over the top that surprised the back line, and someone was able to get in behind them. That time they were lucky he was offsides, but we've seen Oklahoma City a couple of times they've given up goals late, and if they aren't careful, that could be costly.
Elivo leaves it off as they cannot get through that time. And again, the OKC back line, when the ball's ground bound, they've been very, very tough tonight.
So Elivo is just coming straight swap down the right side, so the formation hasn't changed for San Antonio.
Uh-oh, that got sloppy there. Forbes breaks through, has a run down that left side. He's looking for help from Hassan. Pass out to Elivo. He's blocked, tries again, blocked that time. Blast from the box, blocked by Highland. And OKC survives what could have been a brutal mistake.
Oh, that's the danger of Billy Forbes. He's able to get past his initial defender and then attract 2 more bodies, create a little bit of space, luckily for OKC, they were able to collapse in the middle of the penalty area and prevent Cochran from having to see some real danger there in front of him, prevent Cochran from having to make a big save.
You know, the curtain closed around him fairly quickly once that pass got in there, but the fact that Forbes was able to make a naked run almost down the left side was troubling. He's going to try again, and that is equally dangerous as Harris had to sweep that one aside, and we're going to get for the first time tonight a San Antonio corner kick in the 77th minute.
The Oklahoma City back line has to wake up a little bit, but they also need to communicate a little bit better in terms of the movement and the marking.
There you see the breeze.
Yeah, it is.
And they're going to change up and go ahead and have number 21, Mark Ojong, who has a card. Take it, he'll go short with it. Not a bad idea with that breeze, and his attempt is blocked. OKC, Jimmy Nielsen's going to go to the bench for his first substitution. We're going to look for Chad Bond, number 6, to come in. He made his Energy debut on Tuesday, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out. Meantime, danger here, and Forbes just teed off on that. He knows better. That shot was wild, but now suddenly San Antonio beginning to expose some cracks in the green defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's troubling for Oklahoma City because unfortunately this season they've given up goals late in matches.
Boy, Hassan has been a problem for the Energy since he's come on. And now it's Miguel Gonzalez who's going to come out of the bench.
Replacing number 10, Miguel Gonzalez in the 78th minute.
That's interesting. Well, I think with Bond, what will happen here is Barril will be, for lack of a better term, the number 10. He'll be the kind of fulcrum in the middle in terms of the attack, be that creator, the man that sparks the attack, that initiates the attack. And Bond will be the kind of the holding midfielder, the center midfielder.
So, whistle, and it's going to favor OKC. And of course, Jimmy Nielsen still has 2 substitutes to go. 1 left for Darren Powell and San Antonio. Dixon stays on side, tried to drop it off for Rasmussen, and it's swept away, and a throw-in coming up for OKC. And the referee not acknowledging the substitution just yet. And the Energy tries to keep the pressure on. Guzman lost it from behind, and that's Hassan who caused that as Pekka now double-teamed. But he dumps it off, and this could be an organized run now for San Antonio FC. Helivo marked by Highland effectively. Long blast way over there. Not really a major danger for CJ Cochran. Again, you can go to uslsoccer.com and follow them on Twitter at USL. We recommend it. So it'll be Daniel Jackson coming into the game. Well, this makes a little bit of sense for some speed and some offense, and Barril will come out.
Substitution for your OKC Energy FC, number
Barril
20,
for
Daniel Jackson.
about 2 minutes was in the hole at the number 10 spot, and now he makes way for Daniel Jackson. So you have Dixon on one side. On the right, you have Jackson on the left side.
Jackson had that pass to Kyle Highland, and Highland rocketed past the keeper on Tuesday night at Taft in the 3-2 win over Phoenix. That was the middle of the goal surrounding the brace by Vucic. So there's some offensive pressure now, so maybe that'll allow Bond to drop it a little bit, you think?
Yeah, I think Bond will drop deeper in the midfield now because it looks like Jackson is going to play out wide on the right, and Dixon, I guess, will flip over to the left. So that should change it up and give him a little more pace out wide.
Well, look out there. That's a bit sloppy. Jackson, nobody home. Excuse me, that was Dixon. This is Jackson chasing it down. And a little bit too much from Dixon. I think everybody from San Antonio paused just for a blink of an eye thinking Dixon was out of bounds. He wasn't. And that instead belonged to OKC. Well, you wonder, is anybody going to crack in this game? We're in the 81st minute. We've seen San Antonio get some better opportunities, but then again, the Energy's had some better opportunities as these defenders tire a little bit. Both coach coaches have a substitution remaining.
And I think that was the thought process for Jimmy Nielsen. San Antonio was tiring. We've seen out wide OKC look very dangerous, so you bring in some fast, fresh legs with Daniel Jackson. And you switch Dixon out wide to the left. So I suspect that they're going to try to open San Antonio up with some more play.
Forbes here. This is dangerous, and a good job slamming the door that time by Daly.
Forbes said he was looking at the referee for a penalty. That was not going to happen. There was no foul whatsoever there.
No, that was just incidental contact. That's
right.
The way the game should be played. Good tackle there on the ball, and it allows the Energy's going to intercept. Rasmussen drops it off.
See, Rasmussen is playing a little higher too. He's not as deep in the midfield as before. I think with Bond now playing that deeper center midfield role, Rasmussen is actually pushing up into attack more of a striker role, more of an attacking role, so he has less defensive responsibility. That's where Bond is kind of taking his place in that sense.
All the way back to Daly. You see Wallace is back there, so I think Daly and Wallace are going to do the cleanups.
Yep.
And Harris is also kind of inching back a little bit. Highland will probably continue to press.
Highland is way up for a left back. He's way up at the midfield line.
McCarthy's up a little bit too that time. Jimmy Nielsen upset with one of his players. I think it's Rasmussen who's getting the wrath of the head coach there for not being where Jimmy Nielsen wanted him to be. Dropped off here now to Harris, has moved up. Looking for some service, perhaps. Jackson. Blocked, but that's going to get you a corner kick. So we go back at what could have been very dangerous, but Daly, not happening.
Yep.
They kind of ran into each other, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how you would have favored either player with a whistle.
Daly reading the touch of Forbes very well.
Bond in charge of this kick, goes long. Oh, and a whiff on the volley that time by Jackson. But excuse me, that was Wallace, 22, not Jackson, 20. So Wallace impressed all the way up. Not used to seeing him up there, quite honestly. And his opportunity was missed. And now, down is Andy Craven again.
Andy Craven has been, he had that one good chance about 20 minutes ago, and since then he's been very quiet. He has been knocked around all game.
So Craven looks like he needs some water, and you see Wallace just went for the big swing that time and could not get it to go. Craven looked like he was checking his mouth, see if he had every tooth he showed up at the game with. So Craven, this is a familiar scene. This is our crew is not rerunning video from earlier tonight. We've seen Andy Craven holding his arm, his leg, and now his mouth. And he also had a knee cut in a collision that looked really scary at first. He flew hard into that turf. And we thought we were going to see a rerun of last Tuesday's injury with Wojo, who's now out indefinitely after an elbow fracture surgery. Forbes breaks free. 1v1 in the box. Blocked once. Forbes leaves it out, and Wallace will sweep it. And that time Wallace made clean contact with the ball. Ibiaga, Craven had snuck back on, and if Ibiaga had missed that, Craven was going to slurp it up and go right in on Restrepo. Guzman got knocked down in the 86th minute is underway, and OKC will try to press. Oh, good ball here.
Yes.
Dixon stripped away by Ibiaga. Well done by the San Antonio defender, but he does not clear it out as Guzman sneaks over. Rasmussen. Back to Guzman. Let's see if they switch to the right side. They try to. And Jackson sprinting over, and it just did not work out for OKC.
If Dixon gets a little bit softer first touch.
Boy, Forbes has been energized, pardon the expression, in the last 15 minutes or so. Dangerous. Forbes breaks free, shoots, and just misses.
Whoa.
Oh, that was the best chance for Forbes all night. Beautiful footwork. We remain tied. Wow.
Wow, this is First of all, what he does here to get around, looked like Mickey Daly was able to get around Daly with some quick footwork. Michael Harris comes in late with a challenge. But what's happening is Michael Harris, he's pushing up an attack, and Forbes, because if they do a quick turn the ball over quickly, Forbes is able to get in behind Harris, exploit that space. That happens a lot of times when your wingbacks get caught too high in attack. A player like Forbes, on multiple occasions, has been able to run at the defense.
Well, Cochran's kick was not a great effort, and Highland, trying to save it, crashed into one of the ad signs. And the referee is holding the trainer off for the moment. Gives us a chance to remind you about Nike being an official sponsor of the United Soccer League. And for more information, just visit NikeSoccer.com. Highland is going to be up, a little shaken. That arm maybe could have cracked a funny bone on that thing, either on the turf or maybe even on the sign, but he'll be all right. 87th minute, you're going to be okay. You'll fight through it. Still, by the way, we have not seen all of our substitutes. There's a weak shot and easily gobbled up by Cochran.
And Forbes, who in the last, I would say 10 minutes or so has had a lot more chances. He's seen basically one-on-one situations where he's just been able to get around whoever's in front of him. And that's also the responsibility of a holding midfielder as well, to help out Harris or Daly in those situations. And Guzman was doing that in the first half, but now that they're pushing forward for a goal, there's not that support anymore. So Forbes is seeing more one-on-one opportunities, and San Antonio playing very smart, playing that ball from the midfield and getting it to Forbes in those spaces. So they're doing a good job of kind of taking advantage of OKC being aggressive and pushing forward for the goal. Ooh.
And there you see what happened with Highland. He is bleeding like mad there, and he's going to have to come off to get this tended.
That stings, that water content. Yes,
that's not feeling great, yeah. Yeah, there you go. And if you're a lip reader, we apologize. Meantime, into the box, and Restrepo. Everyone called his name since he had a little burst of action in his net about 10 minutes ago. Not a tall player, but he got in the air that time. 89th minute. And stoppage time. Oh, I'd say 2 to 3 minutes, and that is kept from a goal, a corner kick. Highland, bloody but unbowed, is back. And now a throw-in coming in. Elivo will dump it off to Chin. Got to keep an eye on Forbes, number 7 right there. And they do. Highland gets it past. The Energy have one last chance in him, maybe, or maybe two. Cross here. Jackson breaks free. Good trap by Jackson. He's got some room to work. Looking for Craven, and McCarthy read it. And it's 6-5. You've got to get it well past.
Yes.
Another, I think the only way to get it over his head was for Craven to be offsides.
Or just keep running at the defense. He had made a great move to get inside, play the ball to his left. He had space in front of him. Just run straight at the goal and wait for a defender to come out and attack, kind of break the line, open up a space, and then slot it past to Craven.
3 minutes of stoppage time, we are told, will be coming up. Jackson now 1v1. Middle, nobody there.
He's got to, in those situations, he's got to shoot it.
Well, you'll hear about this game undoubtedly at 8 o'clock Central Time with Mike Watson Monday on USL Coast to Coast on Sirius XM FC Channel 85, home of the USL Game of the Week.
So that's twice that Daniel Jackson has been able to cut inside to his left, but he's either just made the wrong decision in terms of passing. Well, twice he's tried to pass it, and both times San Antonio was able to clear it away.
Into the box, headed away rather calmly by the interior of the San Antonio defense. Let's see if Harris corks one. No, he'll play back actually. And now Guzman. Harris pushing up a little bit. Craven kept himself from being offside. Restrepo watches this one go away, but will now head to where Dixon is. Dixon dumps it off. Back to Dixon. He's in the box. Oh. Nope, offside. Oh, the flag came up. Coming up on the other side of this game, is the post-match report. It'll be brought to you by UCO's Downtown MBA.
Yeah, this is a game, if it ends like this, it's a game where Oklahoma City missed opportunities. Restrepo with a couple of important saves, but just some key moments where if the decision-making was a little bit better, they would have gotten a goal.
Ooh, that's a tough takedown there. The 92nd minute. Be interesting to see who we wind up as our OKC Energy man of the match.
I would give it to Guzman, Juan Pablo Guzman. I know statistically there isn't much there, but when in the first half especially, he was very good at tracking back defensively, kind of filling in the holes that either Highland or Michael Harris was opening because of their runs up the pitch. And then when Gonzalez and Barril came off, he became kind of the important playmaker, kind of the distributor of the ball in the midfield. Made some great passes as well, some strong connecting passes to the attack. So I'd give it to Guzman.
Another throw-in coming up. Final minute of this game might be played in San Antonio territory. They haven't lost a game this season in the USL. Harris is almost in the front row of the bleachers for this throw-in. Puts everything he has on it. The wind will hang it up a little bit, though. Helivo got there first. Now there's Guzman. Off to Dixon. Dixon will back pass to nobody in green, unfortunately for them. Chin will get the throw-in.
It was an interesting strategy by Jimmy Nielsen when he brought off Gonzalez and Barril to push Rasmussen up top as a striker, as a forward. Try to get a big body in the area. Hasn't quite worked.
Now the count here, we do not want to see that guy, and you know what, Harris felt the same way, and made absolutely sure that Billy Forbes wasn't going to get free down the left-hand side. He'll happily give up that throw-in. Last thrust now, San Antonio's Herivo. Knocked out of the box, not completely. Herivo had it, and he has it knocked away. And that's it. This game ends in a 0-0 draw. Clean sheet for both C.J. Cochran and a 7th straight clean sheet for that guy, Diego Restrepo.
And he definitely earned it because he made about 3 or 4 important saves, important interventions that allowed San Antonio to get out of Taft Stadium with a point.
Entertaining, don't let the score fool you.
Yeah.
Both these teams had chances. Forbes had a brilliant chance late in the match. And coming up on the other side, we will hear from the man of the match and offer up our thoughts on this draw. Each team picking up 1 point.
Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, setting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
I don't think any city in America has come as far, as fast as Oklahoma City. And the reason you see so many highly educated 20-somethings move into the city is that vibe, is that energy.
And we want to be a part of that. We believe our MBA program is just as vital, it's just as interesting, it's just as engaging as other parts of people's lives. We can provide students with this incredible opportunity to learn in the places where they're living, working, and playing.
Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires into the box. Ball comes down, setting up a bicycle kick, and it's in! Unbelievable from OKC Energy!
Well, you had an entertaining Saturday evening if you were at Taft tonight, and hopefully you enjoyed the broadcast as well. This 0-0 draw between OKC's Energy and San Antonio FC. So San Antonio remains undefeated now through 13 matches with their 4th draw. And the 4-game win streak is over at home for OKC, but they remain unbeaten in their last 5. And we take a look at highlights of this match, George, and began with the sunshine and the shadows, and OKC had some chances early.
Yeah, this was probably the best chance, well, not probably, it was the best chance of the first half. It started with Michael Harris to Miguel Gonzalez. Great turn by Andy Craven, and he was kept out by Diego Restrepo. And Craven on a number of occasions able to get his head onto the ball while it was in the air and just couldn't finish it. But OKC looked very dangerous in that first half. Unfortunately for the Energy, just couldn't score.
Pilot missing there, gets a little bumped. And by McCarthy, we get a yellow card later in the night. Here's Badil, and this one's so close for Daly. He had the opening. He just could not control it with his head.
Yeah, you wonder if Daly would have been better served to just chest the ball down and then strike it with either foot, whatever the case. Barril, when he had his opportunities one-on-one, he was very dangerous there. A little bit late on the run was Craven. Maybe Gonzalez was a little bit late as well, but Barril testing Restrepo. And then here, a chance for San Antonio on a couple of occasions, especially in the second half. They were able to get behind the defense of OKC, and Cochran does very well to keep that ball from getting onto the feet of a Jaquan, but it was one or two times where you thought, oh, this was how San Antonio was going to score. This would be how they would do it. Surprising the back line that was starting to play high with more and more possession creeping up.
So OKC had another good opportunity here with Dixon.
Yeah, this started in the midfield with Miguel Gonzalez to Barril, and then Barril making the run out wide, kind of open up some space for Craven. And then well done by Dixon to get into the middle. Craven times his run, and Restrepo comes up with a huge save.
Forbes is going to send this one into the box. This was offside. Sassana came on as a substitute, an impactful one, too, with the referee's assistant squashed that. But this, look how close this comes from Forbes on this run.
Yeah, one-on-one against Daly. He's able to get around him. Quick footwork there. Daly, a bigger player. It's going to be hard for him to keep Forbes in front of him. And Harris comes over late. Might have done enough to bother that shot. And that was San Antonio's best chance of the match.
7 straight clean sheets for Diego Restrepo. It's just unbelievable. San Antonio did not have a shot at halftime. Had 8 overall, but just the 1 on target as they were outshot. They were actually outpossessed. And 3 yellow cards, and most importantly, the important central defender, Stephen McCarthy, picked up a 5th yellow card. That'll get you a 1-game vacation, courtesy of the USL. The Energy FC postgame show brought to you by the UCO Downtown MBA program. Connect to the future of business. Finish your MBA from Central in just 16 months. Visit mba.uco.edu for more details. Our man of the match is goalkeeper CJ Cochran.
Man of the match.
We are joined by the man of the match, Carl Cochran Jr., a.k.a. CJ. Clean sheet in the start tonight. I know it's not a win, but this against one of the best teams in the USL, not terrible.
Yeah, we knew they were dangerous, and we knew they were a good team. So to keep a shutout was huge. Obviously, you want 3 points, but if you're playing a quality side like them, a draw is probably fair.
Tough conditions to play in. Goal kick's pretty tough with a 25-mile-per-hour headwind.
Yeah, I sprayed one out of bounds. I probably owe Kyle a dinner. But yeah, it's always tough to win, but there's something else you got to do with it.
You got a big start coming up in Colorado against an MLS side. Got to be excited about that.
Yeah, we're excited, but I haven't really thought about that game past this game. But now that's what our focus is moving forward.
Carl Cochran Jr., CJ, our man of the match.
Thank you, Brent. We appreciate that. There is your final score, a 0-0 draw between OKC's Energy and San Antonio. So San Antonio remains undefeated. The Energy pick up a point as well and go to 4-5-2. For George Metellus and our entire crew, I'm Dave Lamont. We thank you very much for watching OKC Energy Soccer against San Antonio. A thriller, really, despite the 0-0 score. Andy Craven was robbed there. This daily header just slightly off the mark, and Restrepo made some big plays to stay clean when he had to, as did C.J. Cochran. The Energy will have U.S. Open Cup match next week, then Friday night at Portland. Have a great night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.